Welcome back to Off Guard. I'm your host, Austin Rivers, along with my co-host, Pausha. We are back. Fresh here early morning. Fresh after the All-Star
normally we do our pods on Thursdays, but we knew the All-Star, the reserves were going to be announced.
Yeah,
so
we wanted to wait.
We wanted to wait,
get a fresh reaction. Obviously, they came out yesterday evening. So, listen, let's get right into it. I mean, every year this happens. We have snubs. What
was the biggest snub for you?
Biggest snub for me would be Trae Young. He's leading the NBA in assists. Their team has no business, if we're looking at their roster. Not to say they don't have some talented players over there. They do, but let's just call it for what it is.
It doesn't make sense without Trae Young being out there.
Let's call it for what it is. If Trae Young's not on that team, they'd probably be last in the East or competing with Charlotte or Wizards or whoever that'd be. That would be their cloth. That one man alone has made that team not only competitive, but they're actually like in the playoff contention.
Jalen Johnson out for the year really kills me. I've been a Hawks guy. Him being out for the year is like...
Yeah, that's a brutal loss.
They were so exciting. They were always my sleeper team in the East. I wanted to see a top seed play them in the first round.
And more importantly, his development. He's having a breakout year.
Well, you got to give that most improved player award to Cade Cunningham. Now, I think Jalen Johnson was the other guy that could have got it, but I think now it's...
I think Cade was going to win it regardless, due to the fact that Jalen is very improved, but the level at which Cade has reached, I don't think anybody thought he was this good.
Even though he was the number one pick, you didn't know it was going to be maybe...
No, I didn't know because I didn't see that. Remember, his whole first year he missed, so then it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. And then he came back last year, and their team was just so bad that, like, even though he was good, it was almost hard to see it within that, like, just, I don't know, that team was... It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then obviously the improvement in his game has led to the improvement of their team.
Bringing the shooters around them too makes him so much better.
They went and brought some players in that have, that are pros. Don't get me on my own whole rant about how this is what happens when you keep vets in the NBA and put them on a team. You just don't force it and end up doing what like some of these teams are doing. That's what has been key for Detroit. I think a lot of these front offices are such in a rush to just be young and buy job security.
Yeah. Well, then look at Houston when they got Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks and guys like that, and their young guys mesh well with their old guys.
I look at like DC and I look at some of these teams, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I do believe that there are a certain select of front office executives who purposely start that young and like rebuild teams the way they do, so they can be bad for a long time. And you would ask yourself, why does that create job security? Well, in our league, when you have a better team and you have a higher payroll, the more pressure it is, the more results need to be had. When you're rebuilding and you have all these young guys, there's no really expectation. And I think that buys job security. I think it's a cop-out. There's no reason for some of these young teams that have young players not to have 3 or 4 good vets on their team, solid players who are not just locker room present guys who are actually playing in the game. Detroit went and got Tim Hardaway Jr. They went and got Malik Beasley. They went and got Tobias Harris. These aren't guys that are just in the locker room. They're not playing the Garrett Temple, Joe Ingles, Corey Joseph role, who are just at the end of the bench to be like a locker room advisor. These are guys who are actually playing on the court, just like Fred VanVleet, just like Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green, whoever, whatever you want to call it. These guys are playing and helping young guys not only win, showing them how to win. It's very important. And they did that for Cade, and Cade has reached a different level in play. I didn't know he could make like that. He's become one of the more premier point guards in the NBA. Most improved, I think, is locked up with him. Back to the snub. Trae Young is leading the NBA in assists. Not to mention, it's not like a guy don't like that. Usually a guy who leads the NBA in assists, his points are like 14, 15 points a game. Like a Halliburton, something like that. Trae putting up 20 plus. Yeah. What's he averaging points per game? Got to be mid-20s. So that's my biggest snub. The controversial one, we all know, is LaMelo not making it.
Yeah.
And that is due to the voting scale showing itself to not be that important. He was voted third amongst, I think, anybody, right? Players. And he didn't start. Okay, so that's fair. But once he didn't get in from the fans, you knew the coaches weren't going to vote LaMelo in. So it was a wrap. So and you said it, you called it. We had a pod a couple weeks ago when they announced, or a week or so ago, whatever, when they announced, the All-Star starters. You had pointed out and been like, hey man, LaMelo was third in voting. He didn't make the starting group. I don't know if he makes it in because I know he's not getting the coach's vote.
Yeah.
And he's not getting the coach's vote due to a variety of reasons. Most glaring, their team record. They're awful. They've always been awful. It has not improved. They do have a new coach. They have new front office people. It looks like the organization's turning around from that standpoint. But in terms of results, we have not seen that yet. Now, again, it's 1 year in. It's going to take time. Rome wasn't built in one day. But if we're specifically talking LaMelo, he has not proven to be a guy yet. And again, me and you both are huge LaMelo fans. Very, very talented player. I love watching him play, the way he plays. With that being said, there are parts of his game that obviously need work. There are things that he needs to do to learn how to be a better leader, winner, whether it's shot selection, tempo of the game, leadership. There's a lot of different things there.
I think I saw a stat that he averages more points, rebounds, than an assist than all the reserves that made the All-Star game in the East.
That's true, but I like what the NBA is doing here, though.
No. Okay, look, it's not about necessarily leaving LaMelo out, too. I mean, they're rewarding Garland for being.
That's what I'm saying.
For being a good team.
We gotta start.
Herro. Listen, a lot of people are happy for Tyler Herro, especially with the way his name's been thrown in every trade rumor for the last few years. For them to make an All-Star game, I think the big thing for them, I think the coaches saw all the turmoil that's going on in Miami. So there's some Terry Rozier stuff out right now. We're gonna wait to see what develops there. But all the Jimmy Butler stuff, for Tyler Herro to play the way he's playing, and Bam not having a good year, Tyler Herro's keeping them above water. That's why the coaches reward him, right?
Well, that's a huge part in it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, let's be clear here. LaMelo's an all-star caliber player. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Okay. Trae Young's an all-star caliber player. Devin Booker didn't make the All-Star game this year. I don't think anybody doesn't think Devin Booker's an All-Star caliber player.
I have some thoughts on that too.
But not everybody can get in.
Yeah.
All right. And I like what the NBA is doing here. And you know what's going to happen with the coaches. They're going to reward guys who are actually helping win games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who can go get numbers on teams that ain't doing much, man. That's just the only thing I'm going to say. I don't really give a fuck about some of these numbers. I promise you right now, if you drop me on the Wizards, I go give you 18 a game. I haven't played in 2 years. I'm not even dead ass serious. And I've never averaged 18 games in my whole career. But that's how bad some of these teams are. And the NBA is totally different now with the way defense is played. Some of these numbers, we got to start putting inflation in. The NBA is different from the 7 years ago when I played. Obviously, I played 2 years ago, but I'm just saying, from the prime of my career, completely different NBA. If I shot like 6 threes in a game, it was a big deal.
Shouldn't we reward Trae Young, though, for taking the step he took this year of being more of a passer and bringing those young guys along instead of being more of the jack that he was kind of before? Not calling him a jack, but he was more of a Harden than a Nash. And this year he's gotten closer to a pure point. Obviously,
well, again, that was my snub. I thought Trae Young was a for sure thing All-Star. But listen, I don't mind what the NBA has done here. When I say the NBA, the coaching, whatever you want to call it, they're rewarding winning, man. It's that simple. Darius Garland and the Cavs have had a year that no one thought they were going to have. Everybody thought they were good, but they have been phenomenal. All right, they've been the best team in the NBA this year, along with OKC, bar none. And how this is going to play out or end in the playoffs, I don't know. I don't know. People have a lot of thoughts. Darius Garland missed 2 free throws in a row the other day to seal the game. There's a lot of questions on how these guys are going to perform, even though they're a top seed right now in the East. They have not proven to ever do that in the postseason. So a lot of questions on how this Cleveland team is going to be able to get to the playoffs, and are they going to continue this level of play? Are they going to continue to be a superior team? We don't know yet. We'll see. But up until this point, man, come on. You got to reward winning.